Hello and welcome to the EUphoria podcast. This is episode 12, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and SoundCloud. I'm Drakos, joined once again by Caedrel as he returns from his week off, and our special guest for the week, none other than top 4, undeniably top 4 at a minimum, 80 carry. I feel like poster child of BDS, crownshot. Been waiting, man. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I'm glad that there's been a lot of years of your career where we could have invited you on, where it was
a struggle,
a mixed bag. You know, some good moments, some bad moments, but we're hitting you here on the up, and I hope we're not about to curse you because things are looking pretty good right now. But like, how do you, when you look back at like how you got here today, you know, on the cusp of, I mean, even potentially MSI, of being a split champion, like, how do you feel? Do you feel like it took way too long for you to get here? Or are you okay because you just take it in stride? Like, how do you feel about the ups and downs over the last few years?
I think for sure it took a while, but over the years I feel like I've accepted the fact that maybe sometimes it just has to take a while. Like, you know, it sounds super cliche, you know, like, oh, things happen for a reason and all of these things. Like some people call it cope, I guess. Probably it is a bit of cope, you know. Like you have to find ways to cope, but sometimes like the circumstances are not like aligning with you know, your goals. Like if you understand what I'm trying to say. And
yeah,
I guess as long as you stay true to yourself and just I kept grinding, you know. Even last year in academy, it was for sure like the hardest year of my career. I was like very, you know, mentally like out almost at certain times, to not lie, you know, to be honest, but I guess it just worked out. It still feels a bit surreal to me as well, but I'm just grateful that this is how things are right now, and I don't want to jinx anything, but I feel like for now it's good.
Yeah, I think it's rare for players to like especially get into the LEC first of all, but then like be removed from the LEC and have a bounce back to come back to the LEC
and then
be even better and be top 3, top 4.
Usually it's like not something to be excited about. Usually it's like, oh god, that guy's coming
or
back.
It's grueling through the ERL, so like a year or two,
true,
and they come back and it's like mid, and then they fall out again. But the fact that you bounce back that hard is like already pretty incredible. I think when you talk about expectations, that's kind of realistic because a lot of people come into the league expecting my debut year, I'm going to win the split, or like I'm going to be finishing top 2, and then reality hits you in the face and you realize, okay, these teams are pretty damn good.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I can talk a bit about that because I remember when I joined like 2019. I mean, you probably remember like I remember like that Fnatic G2 rosters was scary.
So yeah, they were really
like
good.
That G2 roster was scary. You know, like I'm gonna be honest. Like it felt very like, you know, you had someone to chase. Like even in your own league, like very like. It was very hard to beat them. I feel like I remember watching that spring final when they had the fastest final
Origin
of all time. Yes. I was like, wow. And Origin was the second team, you know, and I was like, wow, that's crazy, you know. And then, but I feel like, I don't know, like either the game changed or something like that. But I feel like now it feels more achievable to contend with the teams. Either it's just because the rosters are mixed up from back then, or it's just because the game moved in that direction. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what it is.
That's
maybe it's a mix.
Because I remember, I think you're right, because like in 2019, even when you were pro, when I was pro, it's like you look at G2 Fnatic, you scrim them, you watch everything they do. You're like, how do I become them? I'm chasing this team that I will probably not beat, but I'll hope to beat. And now it feels like maybe there isn't someone you're chasing, you're just focusing so much more on yourself.
I mean, for sure there's like very strong teams in the league. Like for example, like off the top of my head right now, like I would say like Vitality G2. But like that G2 was different because they would go to MSI, they play their picks at MSI, they win. They're flexing like 8 picks per draft. Like you can't, it's so hard to draft against them, you know. They're always having new ideas, and maybe the game changed from them. Like maybe it's true what people said that like it started being more focused around Drake fights, and back then it was a lot about like they played like 1v1 super well and side lanes, and maybe it was that like they could be more creative on the map where other teams couldn't, or maybe it's just a combination of things. But for sure I remember the feeling was different, you know. And then I remember seeing like every year there was like new players coming in. Like for example, when Carzy and those people came in and that they instantly started like doing good and winning. And you could see that like even the newer players were contending, you know, with the top spots. And then Mad Lions won twice, and it kind of started shifting, I suppose.
Yeah.
But for sure, like I can tell you, like 2019 was different for me at least. Like that G2 was scary. Like
yeah, I mean we talk about it all the time because it's a really weird and really special moment in like LEC history, because I think it's good for our region generally on an international level, even if it makes domestic competition sometimes a bit predictable. We were very lucky that we got like,
I think so,
that summer that we got like 2 5-game series, G2 versus Fnatic.
Yeah.
But there's a world where they just 3-0 and it's like the most boring end of the season ever, because they had a Fnatic to contest them. We were lucky, but I think like generally when you have a North Star, like you have this team that's like feels untouchable, it brings everybody else up.
I think so. I think that's the main point. Like I think teams did study G2 and what they were doing, and it forced you to get better. Otherwise, you would literally just get 10 minuted and then you just, you know, you couldn't scream them normally.
Yeah, I mean
it's like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean,
like it was kind of similar to Winter G2 this year, but in scrims at least. They're also dominating, but I think it's a bit different, you know. But also the game was a bit different, I would say, like because they were relying so much on flex picks back then and like innovation and stuff. But
and I don't think that there's not the. I just remember the feeling of G2 2019, especially after spring, once they'd proven that they were so good, now coming back for MSI, and even kind of leading into MSI, there was just this feeling of like they locked something, and you felt instantly like scared because you just believed 100% that they had information that you didn't have. Now, like for instance, this last weekend when they lock in Pantheon, I'm like, like they're cooking. Is it going to be good? Question mark. Whereas 2019 G2 locks in Pantheon, I'm like, oh my God, they're the greatest team. And I'm just like, it has to work. It has to work. And that's just because they always like made what was Pyke in every lane or whatever.
It's true. I mean, I was also wondering, maybe it's just because like Riot released some champs that like, even if you're as creative as possible, like for example, when Zeri is broken. Like, and if you give Zeri, like, for example, even the last year, like the tank Zeri, like, that Zeri was...
the Hydra Zeri thing?
Yeah, the Hydra Zeri. Like, you could be like the best team, but if you gave Hydra Zeri 2 items, it was hard to beat, you know? Like you couldn't... And I felt like maybe back then there was like more creativity available, maybe because you could focus more on like creative map play other than just playing Drakes. I don't actually fully know, like I thought of this a few times. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it's people just catching up to G2 because eventually people will catch up. Like if you have a team that stands above everyone else, people will be forced to learn. And if you play 100 scrims against them and on stage against them and you watch all of their games, you will find patterns to learn from, right? Like you're not gonna stay bad forever or like stay worse forever. Like you will catch up to them, at least a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean the struggle of looking at anything like this is that not only is our players getting better, not only are teams changing, which is enough variables already, the game is changing.
No, for sure.
There's tower plates are getting added, Drakes are more important, and that's going to shift. The way jungle works is going to shift, and so that like perfect cocktail or whatever
I think so.
That led to G2 being able to flex that knowledge or whatever you want to say that they were really good at. They were good at a lot of things to kind of work out. But shifting away from G2, focusing back in on you. I mean, it was up and down, and because the thing is that you still, in your first split, made playoffs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You guys got knocked down. You came back, and then you lost to the Miracle Run Schalke. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's like you've always...
They got me too, buddy, don't worry.
They were untouchable. Like, I was just watching them like win 8 in a row, and I was like, okay, like, you know, they clicked, you know, for sure. I remember that.
Is there any like moments that you really remember and hold on to as like really defining career moments for you, or really like moments that really either helped you grow or that like stick in your head?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I would say so. I mean, the first year is just like, I mean, when we first made playoffs and we like beat Schalke in the tiebreaker, I felt like it was pretty nice because they had like a pretty good roster, you know, upset Ignar, I believe, Odamne. And then other than that, like I would say the main one was like 2020 summer when like our spring was horrible. We were like 9th place, like horrible. and then in scrims, like I just not decided, but I noticed like if I just start being more demanding and calling people to my lane and map splitting level 1 and like playing Varus and Aphelios and taking plates, and Trick would just combat level 3, get my support at base and just combat every time, you know, and then Herald to me, every camp to me, like, and then I was like, okay, I can win, I can carry a lot of games, at least in best of ones, right? And then that's like where it clicked to me that like, if you're in teams like that where you winning is not expected, you need to like find a way to win yourself. Like you're not just gonna go into the game and win. Like you're not gonna go and outlane people and win. Like you need specific plans, you know. And I remember like that split, I was getting. There's like a lot of hype on me, and I for sure got a lot of undeserved MVPs. I would say, like I think my teammates could have gotten for sure a few, and then people were like, "Oh, he's so overrated. He takes all the resources," and then also, but I'm playing AD carry. Like if an AD carry takes resources and wins, it's like that's my role, right? Like I'm supposed to take farm. Like if I can carry with it, you know. And I was like, why are people getting mad at this? I'm just playing that the only way that like the only consistent way we found to win, and I'm playing that way. And of course, eventually it will not work anymore, either because of my limitations or the team's limitations. But that's like the season where I saw, or the split where I saw like I have to be very like vocal, because for example, even when I was in ERLs in like 2018, I was like in the self-made Nemesis Mad Lions roster, and my teammates were insane, right? Like I had self-made Nemesis in ERLs, and I was not like the star of the team, you know. I was just playing Ezreal, you know, like chilling, not dying, like 10 CS per minute, you know, carrying in T fights. But as I joined LEC, I realized like you kind of have to take things in game, like you have to make it about yourself if you want to win. Like that's like I would say that was like a defining moment. I would say that summer.
Didn't you? I remember that best of 5 against Schalke. Didn't you lane swap first
yes,
game with Jinx?
Yes, we lane swap, and
the Jinx game.
Yes,
and
I
forgot about that.
You know, we had such a high win rate in scrims, and then in that game, like Odamne knew how to respond to it, because obviously he knows,
played
right?
since 2015. You got old man on stage.
Yes, and then I think we had like a fight on Wraiths where like Genax and Trick, like I think they could have like committed or focused one guy, and then it would maybe be a bit different. I don't know. In scrims we had pretty good results, but I think Schalke was very good. We didn't win a game, but like I think game 2-3, like game 2 I like messed up on Ezreal. Maybe I could probably carry it, and then game 3 I was playing Cogman. I was also pretty fed, because it's crazy because that split, the meta started shift. Like they nerfed Aphelios and Ezreal. I remember like they nerfed Dev's Dance, if you remember. It was super OP.
Oh yeah, it was OP on everybody.
Like third item, like Dev's Dance, it was super OP.
Yeah, I remember jungle meta was just like Volibear set.
Yeah, it was fully like utility for ADCs. ADCs were broken, you know, they were broken. And I remember they nerfed, I don't know, either they nerfed the item or the champs, and it started moving to like Ashe Senna, and we were playing scrims, and I was like, damn, it's moving to utility. Like we need to do something like weird, you know. And then we tried lane swap, it worked. Then I was playing like Cogmo into Senna, it was working pretty well. So I had to like
find a way to carry in a non-carry meta.
We had to go to some like deep champion pool, you know, like for sure. But I would say that was like the defining split where I realized like I have to, you know, push. Like I had to lead my team like to what to play in draft, because I had like a very specific way of playing. Like my philosophy on the game was like, I don't know, I felt like the best way to win was just to draft like strong team fights and just be on every Drake, because if you have bot prior, you should get the early Drakes, and then you can get the ones after. And if your AD carry is fed, you should be able to win fights generally. Yeah. So it worked in best of ones at least. So I would say that was like most defining.
Yeah, I think finding that confidence to like voice what you need and to understand that, like, because when everything's going well, it's really easy to just be quiet because everything's working.
No, for sure. I mean, also like, I would say like Trick helped me, because I saw the way he was like leading people, and I kind of learned a bit from him. Yeah. And before, as I said, like my role was not the same as it was that year. Like that year, I just had to be very selfish, as weird as it sounds. So I would say after that, and then when I joined like Vitality next year,
Okay, yeah, but there is a question here because before you joined Vitality, there's this moment in your LoL, and I forgot about this entirely, but bless LoL esports, where are we at? Where LoL fandom wiki.
Yes.
You were like a streamer for, it says for exactly 30 days. I remember that announcement that you and Nemesis going to Korea, Slovenian bros just going out. What actually happened in that offseason?
It's a pretty funny story. Like, so I mean, I don't know how much I can say about, I mean, I can say like, I decided to like try to get a different team than SK.
Yeah.
I could have stayed if I wanted, but I just wanted like a change of pace, I suppose. And I was very close to joining an American team. Like, it was like verbal agreement. Like I was pretty much told I'm in, and then the next day they just changed their mind.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
And at that point, all the teams were like already like.
They already had their 80 carries.
Yeah. Besides like the Fnatic G2, and then I remember reading comments that said like, oh, he doesn't have a team because he flipped that he's gonna get Fnatic G2, but I had no clue that there was even an option. Like people were just making up narratives about me, thinking I'm good enough to play in Fnatic G2. I found it out like in November that was even an option. Like I was just convinced I would go to NA, but like a lot of teams, like I think because of COVID impact and stuff, like 3 teams that were maybe potentially like possible for me were not, but. And then people are just making up narratives about me about like Fnatic G2, and I was like reading like, what are these people saying? Like they have no clue.
Dude, that's the juice. Crownie cannot go to Mad Lions because he hates Mac.
No, like
send.
He hit him in the face.
Evidence heard it from a guy.
Yeah, they were saying like, oh, like he thought he was good. He was overrated. He thought he was like top tier to go to Fnatic G2, but they took other people. Like he bet on himself in the market and it didn't work out. It's completely wrong. Like you know, people just like to make up things anyway in their mind. But and then I was like,
I'm sorry, it's just it's so true. I've had
it's for sure. But and then I had to make a decision. Like either I go to an ERL, like to LFL in that split, or I try to like stream. And I knew Nemesis wanted to stream. And I knew LS and all of that, and Genji was very like I would like to shout out their CEO, probably the nicest person, probably the nicest person in esports. He was like very nice and accommodating, and then we just signed it. And then it's funny because I was supposed to leave, and I was in the living room like with my parents preparing the fight, and then my COVID test came out positive, so we had to delay it for like a month back then, you know, because we had to like. It was like still more, you know, complicated.
And Korea is pretty strict.
Yeah,
rules.
it was very strict. Like if you tested positive, you would be like quarantined for 3 weeks. Like it was, and with nothing, you know, full like quarantine, and you had to pay for it yourself. It was pretty like tough. So then we just stay, and then I didn't know for how long we have to stay. Like until you test negative, you have to stay. And then something else happened where Nemesis got delayed, and then I remember like. I got messaged by Vitality because it got so delayed that we were supposed to leave like start of January when LEC started, and it got delayed for 1 month, so long that Vitality asked me to try out and then join. So then like I canceled the Korea trip because it deep down like I still wanted to compete.
Yeah,
that was like my number 1 passion because I felt like I still have more to prove, I suppose. Because I just felt like the last split was good, but I wanted more. And so many people told me, like, don't join, you know, it's like so bad for a career. But I legit felt like I could make a positive impact. And again, it was legit just mostly me wanting to play.
Yeah.
And then I joined Vitality, and then people love to hate on me that split, but we won like way more games after I joined, and I think if I was from the start, I think we would have made playoffs. But it doesn't really matter, you know. And then in summer we got that leader self-made roster.
Yeah.
And in scrims we were doing super well. In May we had like 80-90% win rate, and even sometimes during the split. And I felt like for sure individually, because if you look at the names in the second half, it was Shigenda, self-made, me, leader. Labrov, and if you look at the placings now, like pretty high, right?
Yeah. If we took that roster right at this moment, people would be like, "Damn, that's scary."
And I think we just got the worst possible matchup in playoffs. Like I think Fnatic was for sure not the 5th team; they were like top 2, right? In my opinion.
I mean, they made it to the finals.
Yeah, that was
right?
the
Yeah, they were
miracle
really-
run. That was like back, like that was
They
the
knocked G2
18,
out of the world.
18 games.
Yeah, they were, I
Yeah,
think they were really good, and I think they had like the best bot lane, and they had Niski playing TF and Whippo pathing bot. So it was like stylistically.
So you didn't have much fun,
Nah,
did you?
yeah, it was stylistically pretty bad for us, I would say. And we took them to 5 games. I don't think I was a factor in the games, to be honest. But we also didn't really play for me. I was playing like
It's more mid-jungle focus,
yeah,
right?
I was playing like Ashe, and I was getting. If you look, I was getting counterpicked. We were getting counterpicked on AD support every game, but that doesn't really matter. Like they were better for sure 2v2 that series. And then after that, like I remember reading comments like, "Oh, they're so bad bot lane. Like they don't deserve to be in LEC." But it's funny because that summer, like second half of summer, me and Labrov had like the most 2v2 kills in the league, and I felt like we're pretty good. Like
yeah.
we understood what we want to play. Like we had some good Varus games, and I felt like things were good. But as we mentioned before, it's like the memory thing in esports, I guess, where like you're for sure kind of judged on your recent.
You're only as good as your
performance.
most recent performance, or sometimes your
sure.
highest placing. Yeah.
For sure, and for sure, like after that, I kind of had a feeling. I mean, I played a lot of tryouts for LEC. I ended up not being chosen for any. It was like
This is 2022 now, yeah?
2020, yeah, like 2021, like off-season
Off-season
into
22,
2022. Yes, exactly. I played for like 3 teams. I would say I deserved it, but I could also
But
go into that, but it
just-
doesn't really matter.
Just to backtrack for a second.
Sure.
How absolutely insane is it that we kept you in EU? Like, we literally needed random COVID to
Yeah, well,
strike you down,
yeah.
to
To
keep
hold you
you in
down
this
and
region.
ground you.
I mean, I
Like, that is the only good
I know there's a few other
positive
players
that
that
has
had the
come
same
out
issue.
of COVID for this region. That's what I'll say.
I can say I was mentally, I was ready to go to America, Like I just like I just felt like I don't know why. Like I mean I knew that actually I know why, because I knew in EU probably most teams will not change ADCs that split. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the ADCs that split, it was like pretty good names, in like all that like in all the teams above us, it was like the teams above us were like Mad, KRZ, and Schalke, who did the miracle run, like
Rogue.
G2, Rogue, like
Yeah.
Hans, G2 Perks, Fnatic Rec. Like it's hard to like get into one of those teams, right? It's very
Yeah,
hard.
AD
like-
was definitely like
Yes.
stacked to the
it
point
was
of like
really
locked
stacked.
in.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, okay, like it's hard for me to get a better
Yeah.
team here, and I wanted a change of pace. So
But
Yeah.
luckily for us, unnamed org or orgs don't have their shit together and broke a verbal agreement with you, which, while
Yeah.
very despicable,
Mhm.
has worked out pretty well for us, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, as I said, like there was a lot of weird circumstances for sure. And then, as I said, like last year, I was in academy right after the off season, and I was like, for sure, I started like doubting myself a bit. I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong, like maybe people are right. I think every pro player goes through this to a certain extent, but I guess as I played in academy, I saw that I'm still like pretty good, and then last year was interesting, overall.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty
it
good.
was
Didn't you
for
stomp ERLs last year?
I mean, yeah, I think like yeah, for sure. I mean, in spring we were like 5-1, like stomping everyone, and then we lost finals 2-3, and then we had like the bad EU Masters, but then summer again like bad start into doing really good, and then barely losing finals. So then I lost finals to players I thought I was better than the whole year, and then I saw narratives on like social media, again calling me like really bad, and I was like, okay, like I have to like this year if like I think I realized this year if I do bad, I'm not gonna be in LEC anymore. Like, it's like very rare that you join, leave, and again, it's like very rare, right? Because it's like people get tired of seeing the same names that
yeah,
are
for sure.
like always doing like meh, So
Yeah.
I knew like
They'll gamble on someone else.
Yeah,
yes,
they'd
of
rather
course,
bet on
of
a
course,
rookie
of the
at that
I mean,
point.
yeah, for sure, exactly, right? So, especially since the ERLs are getting, I would say, like a ton of hype nowadays.
Yeah.
Like as opposed to like years ago, I feel like there's a ton of hype on ERLs. Like a lot of interest, a lot of like talk about them. So I knew like there's always gonna be rookies that are gonna like join the league. So I really felt like okay, I have to I have to perform. I have to perform.
Well, so did this team, when you joined, when you were getting ready for 2023 for winter, did it feel different? Like, did it feel like you guys had something special, or were you unsure? Like, what were your actual expectations once you got this roster together and you guys were playing together?
I mean, like before we got it together, I expected us to be like top half. Like that was my goal. But then when we started scrims, I saw that we're actually taking games against everyone, even against like G2, who was really good in December. We managed to be pretty even at certain times. And then I was like, okay, like I was a bit measured because it's scrims, right? And I've seen scrims be totally different than reality. Yeah. But as I said, like I played with Adam and Sheo last year. Like I played with Adam in summer and with Sheo the whole year. I knew Nook from Korea, and I knew the coaching stuff from last year.
From a boot camp that you guys did in Korea at the start of 2022, right?
Yeah, with Nook, like to decide the roster for summer. I knew Nook, and I knew from people he's very chill. And I played with Labrov already, and I knew the coaching stuff. And like Striker, who we got, also knew all the French players. So I knew there's like existing like chemistry or connections, whatever you want to call it, and there's no expectations from the community. Like people are saying 9th, 10th and stuff, which was understandable, whatever. But then I saw the potential or whatever buzzword people want to use. I saw that people are like, playing well. There's like good things, promising things. And I saw that a lot of teams had struggles with like either identity or synergy, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Like we kind of knew what we want to play. I was very like clear with Labrov what we wanted to play, and we had a lot of discussions on how to play lane and all of that. And I knew from before that we are good because I remembered the split we played, or like the year we played, even though other people didn't that much. So I was like for sure cautiously optimistic, I would say. I didn't know what to expect in like winter, but I knew like if we work hard and are like stick to our identity and what works for us, we can for sure surprise people. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it definitely showed. Because like the two biggest surprises at the start of the year were you guys and SK, and I think that I was because I was one of the people that would have put you 9th or 10th. Because I was just like the BDS year before you came on was such a train wreck. Nuke did not have a good year, and while we weren't going to hold that against him, because when a team is doing bad, it's hard to pinpoint. Like when everyone looks bad, everyone looks bad. No one is safe when a team plays that bad.
For sure.
It was just like, and we'd seen you be good and place well, and we like there's some potential there. We'd seen Adam be good and place well, but it's like I was never at the time a big fan of the Dark, so I just was not ready to jump on the train at all. And then you came on stage in your first game, and I wanted to believe in your bot lane, and Labrov played the worst Heimerdinger game of his career.
Was that against Koi?
Had to be.
That was the first game against Koi.
Ash first Heimer?
He just whiffed everything, walked into CC. It was rough. And so I was ready after that first game. I was like, oh shit, like damn, rough for BDS, pouring out for Crownie, And then, it was a little rocky, but it felt like you guys just got better and better every week. And even if it didn't pan out in best of threes, it felt like you guys were just consistently showing us more over the course of the split.
Even the turnarounds from winter till now is pretty insane.
That's the main one, I would say. Yeah.
What happened? Anything specific, or is it just?
I mean, I would say like in winter, I would say we're pretty decent in the best of ones. Like we're like 5-4, but like for example, I'm sure there was like, I think there was at least like the Vitality game that we could have won. We're like winning, but then in best of threes, I feel like we had a bit of a wrong meta read against Australis. Like we kind of played what we played like full like Kassadin, like whatever, full scaling. And then after winter, we realized that we want to like stick to what we are good at, without going into too many details. But I mean, people have they can
watch your games.
Eyes. Yeah,
they have eyes. Yeah,
whatever,
respectful.
whatever. Yeah, but.
Couldn't help but notice you don't play anything that isn't a scaling 80 carry, Crownie.
Yes.
Pentakill guru.
No, but I think we kind of realized that we let it slip away, like the wins, kind of in best of threes, and it maybe made everyone a bit more hungry, as like cliche as it sounds. Like we realized that it is in our reach to be better, and I guess. Maybe some teams also regressed. I don't know. I'm not actually fully sure. But I guess we also just got even more sure in what we want to play in the meta, and we got like better at like playing around objectives and throwing less. So I guess it's just working out for sure. But I mean, for sure there's an improvement from winter to spring. Like we noticed it as well, and I think I guess it's just I would just have to give props to my teammates and my management and coaching staff, because for sure there's like a very visible improvement. And with like more discipline and more like the whole team just feels more how to say, like crisp, I guess, well-rounded. Yeah.
I mean, you went from 5th and then 7th to 1st and then locked top 4. Like that turnaround to me is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like us getting first. Like I felt like we stole some wins. You know, like at least like the Astralis game. For sure, like they were better than us in that game, but we showed that like we don't need to stomp every early to win, which was like already growth. Like we already became better on the track. Yeah, exactly. Like,
but
better,
I mean, don't undersell yourself, because you also threw some games. You also had some games where you had fat leads, and so I mean, as many as you stole, you also threw some away.
Yeah, for sure. Like the first game against SK, we were ahead, and then against G2 we were ahead. But I also like, I don't know if the teams were like testing things or if we just leveled up that much. But for sure, like I could see improvement from everyone on my team. Like I think everyone is playing so well right now on my team.
Meta seems pretty good for you guys as well.
I think so too, yeah. I think it's like, I guess it's a combination of things, but for sure I can see everyone like performing really well, and it's very nice to see, you know. But for sure, like going from 5-7 to 1-3 is like is a visible improvement, right? For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, like, props to you guys and the team, because again, this is something that came out of nowhere, and that this year has been a story of teams and players that I didn't have high expectations.
It feels like players that. How do I word this in a way that makes sense? Players that were not the first choice in roles and were maybe overlooked on the team, like Labrov on that Vitality lineup or whatever.
Yeah,
he was like the least shining star. You know, he was just surrounded by superstars. And then like Adam on Fnatic was supposed to be the issue, or like someone to look to replace. And Nuke was never got as good. You were like going up and down through the RLs despite having the same. So it's not like first choice, but still like consistently good players, which are overlooked by top teams, and then they're all coming together to form like a. A damn good team. I also think Shio's insane. Like, this guy is like one of the best junglers in the league.
And I was going to say that's the thing that I think is like really cool, is to see this become, because I think it was easy when the split started to see Adam had improved a lot. It was easy to see you and Labrov after the first few games, or maybe wasn't as shakier, were really good as a 2v2. But now it's everybody. I feel like it's
for
everybody.
sure. Like I mean, I would like to shout out Nuke and Shark, because I think it's rare for rookies to join and to play with a lot of confidence and like be sure of themselves, you know, because it's easy to like, you know, like there is a difference between ERL and LEC, and a lot of people who do the jump, they don't adjust well. But I was even surprised, like I was also surprised how fast he learns and stuff, and just you know, like I think his Wukong is like for sure like probably the best in LEC, I would say. Like I think he's just insane at playing skirmishes, you know, even mechanically, and just his overall like instinct about the game. And also I think Nuke, like we had an insane best of 3, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think like, I don't know if it helps them because they're actually friends and they know each other from before. So maybe that just makes everything easier, because if you have people who know each other and are friends with each other and know that, because it's, let's be honest, like it's rare for people to be friends in teams, like close friends, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's the reality, yeah.
Like even 2 people being close friends is kind of rare. Like two people that really want to play with each other. A lot of times, so many things need to align for that to happen. And here, I guess it did align. And yeah, I mean, I think they're doing insane. I think they're doing insane for sure. I think it's a collective effort from everyone, from like management to coaching staff to players. Yeah, I mean, I'm also a bit surprised. I for sure thought like we can contest the top spots. But I knew it's gonna take a lot of effort and like improvement. And I mean, I guess we're showing that for now. Yeah,
it's hard to crack a smile on your face, even when you got a pentakill.
Yeah,
instant reaction was screaming to go to dragon. Everyone else was laughing.
Yeah, everyone else is like, "Oh, we got you the penta." You're like, "Go drag, go!"
You didn't even ask for it. You didn't say anything.
I mean, okay, like I was talking with my coach or like with Labra about this. Like there was an interview with Chovy where like he said that Peyz is talking about going to MSI, and Chovy was like, oh, he's still a rookie, like he's gonna get hit by life soon, you know, like he's gonna get hit by
reality,
what happens in league, you know, by reality. So I mean, for sure, like I was happy, to be honest. Like when I got the triple, I was like, okay, probably I can get the penta, but I mean, it's on Zeri, you know, people downplay it anyway, and I was just focused on winning because I mean, it was my first penta. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, I would say I got more mature, I guess, or just try to be more measured.
I see what you mean. So like the small wins are good and you'll celebrate them in your head, but you're really looking forward to like the bigger goals.
I mean, to me, it's like I told myself I have to prove myself, like no matter what. And I believed in myself across the years that I can be on the top of the league. But until I'm there, like, okay, like for sure top 3 is good, right? And I don't want to sound cocky or anything, like, but it's still like only middle of spring kind of, right? I mean, like there's still a lot left of the year.
Yeah.
And my goals are higher than this because I have stuff to prove to myself, where like all the periods I went through where I was close to retiring or stopping to play or start, you know, streaming instead of playing, or where I was so unsure of myself. I want to really like prove to everyone, to all the teams that overlooked me and all the people that said what they said about me. I just want to prove them wrong, you know.
Yeah, that sounds sick, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like cliche.
No, I can see it already.
I mean, dude, when your motivation comes from where your motivation comes from.
No, for sure, for sure.
If you told me there was just some pretty person who said, if you win a split, I'll date you, I'm like, that's fine. That's the plot of half of the animes ever, bro. Who cares?
True,
whatever motivates you, dude. Whatever.
The animes ever. It's so true.
It's actually true. Yeah, it's actually true. No. But yeah, I mean, it's also not only that. Like, it's just for example, like I think there's just people on my team who also deserve to win, you know?
Yeah.
And they deserve to be in the top of the league and to be like recognized for how good they play. For example, like Labrov, right? I think, I mean, even in 2021 when I played with him, I thought he was insane. And I don't know exactly circumstances or last year why it didn't click. But again, when I started playing with him now, I was like, this guy is so good, you know? He pretty much plays almost everything. And he's just, you know, he's always like pushing, always like reviewing stuff, and the conversations flow so easily about like what we can do better. And I can like really see the drive he has. So it also motivates me to you know, work very hard. So I would say it's a combination of things. And because to me, it doesn't feel like I've been playing for 4 years, you know? Like when I think back, I don't know how you guys feel, but 2019 doesn't feel like 4 years ago to me.
No, 2020 and 21 just feel like they're
like
really
blur, right?
together.
Yeah, it's like for sure. Like I remember probably other people felt like a bit similarly when it moved to online for like a long period.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it felt like so weird, right? Like
if you talk to me about the difference between 2020 and 2021, those are the same year in my head.
I mean,
I only realized they were different years when I was looking through your player history, and I'm like, those were 2 separate years. They felt exactly the same.
No, for sure. And I think especially because in like in esports, if you don't make it to Worlds and stuff, like the fall months, like the autumn months, like September, October, it's like you're at home. So like for me at least, I don't have many memories of very memorable things I do back then. So you're just kind of waiting for the next split, right? So it's like you have a feeling that it skips super fast. So then when I realize, okay, like it's 4 years, I'm like, okay, I need to do something this year to have, you know, something memorable that I achieved. That's how I feel. And
Slightly off topic though.
Sure.
Just random tidbit. So Genji won, right?
Yeah.
And they're coming to MSI. You know, Peyz is 17.
It's true.
He's born in 2005.
Yeah.
2005.
Yes.
I don't know if he's the youngest player at the tournament, but the fact that he's playing at MSI,
it's
like
crazy,
that stuff is just. I know in like a couple of years' time we're gonna have like a 2008 boy just rock up.
For sure.
And I'm just gonna be like,
bro, how are we gonna? We're gonna have to stop. We're gonna have to hire somebody younger to do this podcast. I can't. I can't interview a 17-year-old.
We're gonna be in our like mid 30s, late 40s. I don't know.
Did you have cartoons as a kid? Like, did you have an
grow up with?
iPad? Like,
did you play Wild Rift as a child? Is this how you got into League?
So What? Oh, you had your first MMO, World of Warcraft. No. Oh, Blade and
Lost
Ark.
Ark.
Oh shit. No, I can't, dude. I'm feeling the age.
I like it. I saw it because he did like the Royal Road where you like win in your first split.
Yeah, he broke records as well.
Which is crazy, right? And it for sure puts it into perspective. Like, it's crazy, right? Because it's so like unexpected, and someone comes in 2005, like that's like it's 2005. Like you can't even imagine, right? Like it's crazy to me as well, for sure. But it just I mean, for sure it brings out a feeling in me where I feel I put even more pressure on myself to win or to like achieve things that I think are like goals goals I set for myself, I suppose. For sure. Yeah,
I think like the whole age in esports thing, as much as it's like let's sign a young player, I think it's slowly like 2019 to 2021. I don't know if you agree, but I feel like if you were over 24 or 25, you're off the list straight away.
I have a really funny story about this. Actually, I said it on a stream, but I remember like 2019. It was my 21st birthday in April, right?
Yeah.
And I was reading like a Reddit comment or Twitter comment about a player who was born in the same year as me, but just a few months later. And they called him young, and they called me old. And they said I was old at 21. And it was super funny to me. It was super funny to me because I know in sports, people actually join leagues after college, which is like 23, right?
Yeah.
And like theoretically, like sports are more physically intensive than league, like physically at least.
Yeah.
And people peak at around like 27, 28. So I was like, what? How am I old at 20? Like what?
Crazy,
like this perception, right? But I think it changed a lot when. First of all, like there was the narrative about World Finals, like, there's never been an AD carry below 21 that won, and then Deft won, and then Faker has been playing for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I think these players from Korea have changed the perception a bit, or like Odom winning the split and playing for so long. I think it for sure changed the perception a bit.
Yeah.
Because I remember in past years it was like really.
Yeah,
like,
if you're not on, if you're over like 22, 23, we'll take the rookie. Like, we are gonna make. It's because you know what I think that was in the West. I think that was because of Caps. Not his fault, obviously, but people saw Caps come in really young, and they were like, "This guy's insane."
Every new rookie,
I'm gonna find the new Caps.
Every rookie was supposed to be the new Caps.
Yeah.
Every rookie.
It's so true.
Like I remember hearing it from teams and from this guy's next Caps, next Cap. But Caps is like Caps, right? Like it's rare to find players like for sure.
Let me think. Someone told me Humanoid was the next Caps. I've been told by players that Nemesis was the next Caps.
Some of these did age pretty well, though.
I got
for
Deficio
sure. They
showed
really
me a Yasuo montage of Leader and told me Leader was the next Caps. This was when he was still a caster.
Yeah, because in 2019, after the G2 2019 and 2020 off season, everyone would just look for someone who's really high low, mid lane or whatever, and they're really young, and then they're like, that's my guy.
That's my Caps.
And then half of them didn't work. Some of them did work,
Some worked. I mean, shout out to that generation of mid laners. Humanoid, Larson, Nemesis was a sick generation of mid laners.
Humanoid, Larson, Nemesis, Caps.
No, Caps was before them.
Yeah,
Humanoid, Larson, Nemesis all came in.
They all joined in the same year.
Humanoid was Splice. Larson came out of school to Rogue.
In summer.
I remember
and
that.
Nemesis joined in same time as me. That talent pool was pretty crazy for sure.
Jesus. Yeah, Caps era was not even. It was just after Perks. Was there anyone else who joined while Caps joined? Nemesis joined the year after.
No, I think it was
after.
Mostly. I think that year was the most. Like it was 3 mids, and then some of them left to NA, and then it was like shuffles around. But no, for sure, like the age thing is like, I think it was for sure partly that, and I guess people having this narrative that like. I think the wrong narrative was like that, your reaction time will slow down and you won't be able to play mechanical champs. I think it's not that. I think it's more about like your priorities change and you can't play 16 hours a day grinding and keeping up with the patch changes. I think that's the main one, in my opinion.
I think on a human level, I know that there is a certain point or a certain age where your reaction times do diminish and that there have been studies on that. But I agree that in my experience, it's just at a certain point, you've spent because when you're a pro, your entire life is League. There's literally not enough space in your life to do anything else. So at some points, pros want to try to get both, where they can have a normal life and they can also do League. And in my experience, for most people, that balancing act is either really hard or just doesn't work. Not that you can't. There are people who have made it work, but like for most people, it's you can't have a relationship or have other hobbies or do other things with your life and also commit full time to being a League of Legends pro.
No, for sure. I think maybe it's like since before all you did was League, and then maybe you try to go too much in the other direction, or like you can't find the balance, as you guys said. For sure, it's like I would say that's the main like reason it's hard in esports.
Yeah, I also think you just lose interest. I think when you play something for like 10 years, you don't really find as much fun, and you see other people coming in and they're having so much fun. You're kind of like envious of them. Trying to reinvent the wheel to make yourself have fun again.
No, I think it's a like very, very good point. I think you have to find ways to make the game fun. Because I remember, I can tell you guys, like 2020 spring when we were like 9th, there was like a period where I played like 30 MF games in a row in scrims. Like legit, like at least like 27 first pick MF or 1-2 MF. And I was like,
oh, is that MF Thresh meta?
It was like the MF Aphelios, if you remember. Like Aphelios came out, it was super P, and the MF with the Doran stack was super P.
Yeah.
And I was only playing that, losing most of the games, and I was like
you're just beating your head against the wall.
Yes, I'm just smashing my head in the wall. And
bro, what are you talking about? MF is sick. Think about how you got to look at where the minion is. So you can cue the minion, and you kind of like push E. She's a sick champion. You stand
was that the one where you like? Was that the MF where you like got Berserker Greaves on first base and like ran mid with Strut where you're super fast?
You stack the Doran's blades.
It was like 4 Doran's blades,
triple Doran's into Infinity PT, and you had like swap tanky and so.
Yeah, okay, I remember
that one.
That was awful.
And I was like, you know, like for sure that like you play the same thing and the results don't change, and you just think like, you know,
what am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? The meta is the same. I cannot innovate, or I don't know how to. I cannot change the results. What's the point, you know? But then either the game took a different turn, or where I felt like you can actually innovate more, and I think that's one of the main things that I find like enjoyment in, is where I feel like I play something that not many people do. Like, for example, I even remember like 2019, I picked Jinx like a few games and won against like G2 in your regular season when they flew, or when I played COG more like 2020 summer, like Twitch into Ezreal. That's like one of the main enjoyments personally I have, because it feels like you're not, you know, you're going against the grain a bit. And if you can prove that it works, it's like a different way of looking at the game, you know, because people are very like, rigid, I would say, in the way they view.
Yep.
I think it's partly because if you always play the same thing and it goes bad, you are not going to get blamed for playing the same. Like, let's say I play something new and it goes horribly. Everybody's going to say, oh, like, what is this guy doing? He's trolling. What are they?
What is this pick? Why would you do it? Whereas if you suck on something that people play, it's like, just you. Yeah.
For example, G2 is testing a lot of things, right? And they're like, don't do that good on it. And then people say, oh, this is so bad. Why are they picking this here? But you know, if it does good, people would not say that, right?
If they went well, they'd be like, "Oh my god, they're so smart."
And when there's like job security on the line, in for example, like you know, when you're like in more bottom teams and you're like a bit scared, like you're just trying to play to secure your spot. A lot of times, people just prefer to be safe.
Yeah.
But I would say that's like a very, very like thing I enjoy a lot, like trying to find like new meta things, because I feel like the game is very like deep, like it has a lot of depth in what is actually viable, like champions and all of this. So I would say that's like a very big part in keeping it exciting, because for sure if the meta is always the same and stale, then after like 10 years of grinding, for most people, actually most people have played League for at least like 10 years, I would say, or like at least more than like 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, I would say like season 3, season 4.
Sweet
spot.
I mean, and at your point in your career, you've seen it all. You've been here for the hypercarry metas. You've been here for the aggro early game. You've been here for the utility, and that's it. We just kind of cycle between those three things ad nauseum.
It's so funny. Like it literally, it's like a constant cycle between the same, like similar or same champs. It's a constant cycle. Like, okay, this is good, and this gets nerfed, and that's good, and that counter is good. It's actually always like, the more you play, I think that's like why I think experience is actually more important than people think, because the more metas you go through, the more you remember, 3 years ago when this was OP, that champ countered it, and then you can like play it again, you know, and you can see this like this year for sure. Like there's a lot of picks that pop up, and then like counters to them also pop up. I think that's like a big part of like why playing longer gives you advantages, since you go through so many like similar situations in teams, like or like similar problems, and then you have more like connections like in your head on how you fix them in the past.
That's League, right? It's just there's so many outcomes of the game that the more you play it, the more outcomes you can kind of remember.
I think so. I think so.
Do you see yourself as a veteran? Because you are the most veteran player on that roster. Did you feel like a veteran?
I think so. I mean, I don't know what like the exact definition would be, but I feel like I've played enough. Like I guess this is my 4th year in LEC.
You're a veteran, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I've seen like a lot of like different metas, a lot of like of the same mistakes people do in games, and like like the draft philosophies or what works, what doesn't work. So I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Talking about kind of bot lane meta right now, I'd love to get your take on. I just wanted to ask you how you feel about Lucian Nami.
Oh,
he hates it. He hates it.
Hate it, and I'm not good, so I can't. I'm not really allowed to have an opinion.
Every time we cast it, it gets picked. He's molding. This champ looks. I mean, I know. I'm sure it does good in scrims, but on stage, this champ.
I mean, I cannot like give you my full analysis of it, but I mean, I have not picked it this split, I believe, or maybe one game. I don't actually remember. I think we didn't. I think there's more optimal things to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To not like my coach sec will be mad if I say
no,
too
yeah,
much.
no, for sure.
But I think for sure like it works better in other like Asian regions, I would say. But even like I don't know. I feel like people like to feel fancy, I would say. You know?
Yeah.
No, like actually, I think it's actually like that. Like it's like it's like
that's gonna be
it's very how to say it, like execution based, right? Yeah, you have to like really like play to your limits and like squeeze out the most possible like windows of pressure and play so well. And I think the meta also shifted from winter. It's not the same, so it's a bit worse. And I probably that's like the most I can say. But for sure, I think there's for sure, I understand why you don't.
Yeah, I think the last person I saw play Lucian was Leaf on EDG. They played it against JDG in like this upper bracket finals, and they just got smashed.
I
feel like even in LPL it doesn't work.
I feel like you hate Lucian Nami. I hate Varus. I don't know why, but I feel like LPL made this transition like maybe 2 weeks ago from Varus to like Zeri, Jinx, Aphelios only.
Yep.
And like EU is still like, Varus OP, first pick Varus. And I'm just like, bro, when Zaya's banned and Zeri's banned, I just feel like Aphelios, as much as you might want Varus, like you can just first pick something else.
If you cannot
Aphelios, like
team fight like an LPL team, please stop playing on hit Varus. That's my pledge. Because this is not the first time that Varus has been good. I remember metas where Varus Tahm Kench was the bot lane and they would just dive all the time. I think
it's true. But like LCK LPL always love Varus TK, and in EU it was never like on hit Varus in EU was never really played that much.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Like I also think like Aphelios from LPL LCK compared to EU Aphelios is way better in my opinion. To not like give away too much. Like I think they're way better at playing with the champ the champ.
They never have the wrong guns.
In EU, everyone has. That's all I would say. Everyone has the wrong guns. So.
Everyone has the wrong guns, bro.
The LPL guns
if you have, if I see you walk into a team fight with purple and red, and you do not have 10 ammo left for the swap, this is Aphelios.
It's crazy.
You're griefing. Like, you are absolutely hard trolling.
Leaf played.
Leave and Able.
Yeah, and even Guma was playing it like in their finals when they were losing. But Guma was like the best player in that final.
No,
anyway.
He was smurfing.
But yeah, like they play Aphelios Thresh, like the purple gun timing on the level 2 gank, level 3 or level 5 gank. It's like it's insane.
It's completely different compared to EU in my opinion.
The amount of shurikens these have in these fights.
Like 25 shurikens. Like I was watching Berserker in the NA as well. Like they're playing against like Golden Guards. They're like 10k down, and then there's like one Nash fight when he has like 25 shurikens. I think I even like tweet about it, but like 25 shurikens. He crit for like 1.3k, like perfect guns. But to be honest, in EU I don't see this. But yeah, I think for sure there's like some champs that are better in EU than different regions, and I think it could either be teams trying to explore how much they can make work, or just thinking that's the optimal thing to do. I don't know. Like I'm not in the draft meetings, but for sure I think it's like there is things that if you want to win, they will make it easier for you to win than more like super high execution, super like narrow timings in the game, like for sure. I think I'm not giving away too much.
No, you're fine. Sure. And I think generally, that's always been a struggle through every year of LEC is that there's teams who want to push themselves to play really high execution stuff, and it usually, for most teams, ends up costing them a lot of wins. And while I can understand that that's the way that you want to play because it pushes you to be better, sometimes you just need to pick Ornn top and play Jinx. You know what I mean? Like or equivalent in this meta. You just need to simplify what your win conditions are and how you win the game.
No. I mean, I completely agree. I think it's just as I said, like either it's like it should probably about half like trying to push each other, push the team to try more like high execution stuff, and more I guess just having a different view of the game, I suppose.
Yeah.
But generally, what I noticed is like the longer the year goes, the more people tend towards the safer style. When it goes to like best of fives for Worlds, probably people will play differently. I don't know.
I agree for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I said, it's like I guess it's like halfway of the year, kind of right now. Yeah. So there's still like games left,
I remember, was it Rogue? I think it was 21 or 22, where they were playing like Lucian mid and all this random stuff throughout the year, and everyone
just
was
like Jace top every game,
they're
strong
trying to
laners
explore the
every
styles.
game, and then that was the Rogue time meme was alive and well in that era.
Yeah, they always played like the 3 winning lanes, and with Inspired or something, and then later on in the season, I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they went back to like good old scaling. Good old team fight.
And I think they just got
practiced it all year.
Kicked around a lot.
I think the Rogue time thing hit them and then they changed it. But I think I agree. I mean, there's way more room to explore in earlier season.
For sure. I would say it's for sure partly that. I don't know how much, but for sure it's a big it's a part of the reason why.
Yeah. So you guys have already made it to the upper bracket. You're sitting pretty. But now you got a best of 5 in front of you. Yep. And our wonderful writer Evan pointed out that this was your first best of 5 since you were on Vitality playing against Fnatic in the LEC. Last time you were also playing against Upset. Back then they were the best bot lane in the league. They were going bot every single game. They're not going bot every single game, but they still look like a pretty good bot lane. How do you feel about this best of 5? What are your thoughts? Are you feeling ambitious? The BDS train just keeps going?
I mean, bot lane wise, if I don't talk about me and Labrov, I would put Vitality and G2 as like the 2 best ones. I mean, I don't know, like I guess interchangeably. They play a bit differently. But for sure, they're like very good players. Like I think every single Vitality player is very good. So it should be like a very competitive best of 5, I hope. I think like it should be pretty hype also. I think they will push us for sure. Because like I think a lot of our like best of 3s now, it feels like we weren't really like challenged on what we want to do. Like we got everything we wanted. They don't contest drakes, they don't contest objectives. Like I get some champs I've played a lot this split. I don't know if I think I'm not revealing anything.
Yeah, I don't want you to reveal anything.
No.
You play champs that you've shown that you can play.
I mean, like I the champ I Pentakill on, I guess, but no, anyway. Like,
so they should.
Who could it be? Let me check his history of Pentakills.
I mean, for sure. Like as I said, like for sure, I think Vitality will be a bigger challenge. Even like overall, like from the year, I would say they're like one of the better teams for sure, in like scrim wise. And I think they have like very experienced players. They're all, they have a good view on the game, I would say.
Yeah.
So and it's a best of 5, and in best of 5, it's like it's still a bit different than best of 3, because you have more like wiggle room and like it's a lot about adaptation. Like a lot of times, best of 5s, you ban something at the start and then in the middle you completely like go, banning what worked in the games and it's a lot about like how you adapt game to game. So it should be pretty fun, I would say.
Yeah, Bo definitely had like one of the most insane best of 3s.
Recently. Yeah,
that was crazy.
Because
that turnaround was wild.
I was wondering what version of Vitality we were going to see because they had some like pretty shaky games.
But they bombed out a best of 3 loss split as well, right?
Yeah,
they now Upset's here.
Now Upset's here, and Upset has been super consistent regardless of what the rest of the team has been doing. But now as a whole, and definitely especially Bo, this just was the Bo show this past weekend was crazy, and so it's like this isn't going to feel like to me, if you beat Vitality here, you're really beating Vitality. There's no like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, they were struggling.
Yeah,
There's no asterisk. There's no like,
True.
oh, you know, Bo was
for
blah,
sure.
blah, blah. Like
I mean,
I think that's cool.
For sure. I mean, I also feel like Shell did really good against both times we played. Like, I think in winter, I think he like almost won that game alone. Like we're like,
was the Elise Leeson game where he like invaded his red?
No. The winter game was the Wukong game where they played Varus Ashe. And we were playing Lucian Nami, and we were like losing early pretty hard, but then Shell like solo killed him twice in jungle, and then like he was finding like he solo killed Perks on bot lane like at minute 40 when Perks was playing Azir. Like I don't know, like I think he was playing really insane. So I would say, as I said, like I think all of my teammates are in very, very good form right now, and Vitality is in good form. So in my mind, it should be a very exciting series, and you know, I'm for sure very, very excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm ready for it too. I'm really thrilled about this best of 5. But now we got to figure out who else is going to join you in the best of 5s. We have 4 more best of 3s before we even start there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Fnatic versus Mad. Winner plays Astralis. Then it's G2 versus SK. Winner plays Koi. Let's start with Fnatic versus Mad into Astralis. Like, how do you feel about these 3 teams in general? Do you think that like Astralis is just the clear favorite? Do you think it's an easy choice?
No, I wouldn't say it's an easy choice. I would say I think Fnatic will beat Mad, in my opinion.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Why do you think Mad have been struggling from your perspective? Because they went from, good team to very not good team.
I feel like
quickly.
they're not sure what identity they have. I mean, it sounds so cliche to say, oh, you know, team identity, but I feel like they're like not 100% sure on what they want to play. Because even if you look at their best of 3 against Vitality, they're like trying like different things in both of the games. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird to me too because they were second in winter, and I thought they were pretty good. And I don't know what happened because the break was not that long, right? It was like what,
a week and
10 days. I think like 10 days max between like the end and the start. But I feel like Fnatic has found like kind of what works for them to a certain extent, and I think the best of 3 against Astralis was pretty close actually. Like I think if they don't get Nash stolen that third game, or if they play like some of the fights a little bit better, they can for sure win. But I would say that this group is pretty close actually, because for sure like Mad lost now, but they can still like change and find something that works for them.
Yeah.
And
like remove the Lucian Nami. They played it both games.
Both games, yeah. Like they played like Lucian Nami, Jace Trundle or something. Like that. That's pretty weird, right? Like I don't think I'm giving away too much. I think a lot of people could see it. So I think like, I guess if they find something that works better for them, but a lot of times when you're losing, you just try to like grip at anything that would stick, you know? Because there's nothing that really works, so you're just constantly trying to like get new ideas. Oh, what about this? What about, oh, this worked 2 weeks ago. Oh, what if we like, you know? So it's hard to find like stability, I would say. So I guess that's their like challenge, but I would say Fnatic is favorites for me, but I think they like are pretty good in my opinion. And against Astralis, I could see it being a close best of 3 again, because I think their best of 3 against Fnatic was really close. It went to like 3 games, and the games were pretty back and forth, like constantly. Like both teams were doing like good things, I would say. And then I mean, like maybe Astralis is still like slightly favored. But I could like easily see, not easily, but I could for sure see Fnatic like getting out of that group.
I agree. I think for me, it's like the big thing about the Astralis Fnatic matchup is that generally Kabi and Jonghoon are really good.
They are,
they're just like, they're sick. And I think they're better than Reckless Abby, and I don't think that's like a bold statement. And so I think that we said this before, or I've said this before, but I think the pressure is really on mid jungle, then topside to be really big. But Oscar's no slouch, and I think that like Humanoid Razork on a good day are not gonna like they're gonna be fine. They're just a fine matchup. Sure. So I just think the edge, like to me on paper, the edge is for Astralis. So unless like Fnatic unlock a higher level or show us better coordination, like it comes down a lot to how they like draft on the day. If Astralis maybe griefs some drafts, but like on paper, to me, Astralis are the favorites here. But it was close last time, like you highlighted. Like it was not like the cleanest series, but I think that Astralis are the safe bet, I would say, to make it out of the group.
I'm just worried about Humanoid's champion pool for both series, because like I feel like mid-meta right now is really like Lissandra, LeBlanc, Ari, kind of like I will set up my side lanes for success, but he was playing like Orianna and stuff, especially against Astralis, where they play like Irelia and Nautilus in a full fist fight, hover mid, jungle mid support every game.
And Humanoid's normally a guy that I would expect to know the weird matchups, like, to be like really comfortable there. And so, especially when the first game, the Lysandra game. Yeah,
he played 2 Lysandra games.
The first one
they lost. The second one they won.
The first one, especially when the first one was going a little wrong. I was like actually caught off guard because I really expected him to have the answer. You know what I mean? Like they blind picked on 3 Aurelia, right?
No,
I remember the exact draft, but I remember they played Orianna, Maokai, Mordekaiser.
Yeah,
top side.
like I think
the Mordekaiser game was.
I was really surprised when Astralis get Irelia Sejuani into triple AP topside.
Yeah,
and Leader is probably the best Irelia on the server, and he plays it. And you got triple AP. It's a bit weird to me.
And Nautilus as well. And
Varus. And you're playing like Varus. Like you have triple AP and you have an on-hit Varus. And Varus is like
a little bit.
I would say like 40%. It's not like he will build crit and like do for like 600 crits. Like his W is magic, like it's not like you're going like a triple AP to make your ADC really broken. Like because that Irelia is gonna have Merc, she's gonna have Wit's End.
Yeah.
Like whatever he
Merc's
bought,
Wit's End is it's such disgusting itemization.
And for sure, like
so
probably
good.
after
Shield,
they picked it, they realized, So in my mind, I don't see them doing that again. But obviously, Astralis will also have stuff prepared because obviously people, you always prepare like extra things for best of threes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as I said, like I could see it being a competitive best of 3 because sometimes Astralis does have tendency to like overstep a bit, and I still think Fnatic have good players that can
Yeah, I just also wonder where's like Humanoid Akali. I think Akali is like really playable right now. Syndra's really playable, but
and this is the game one that I now had to look at the draft. Remember, it was the blind Yone. He has the luxury of counter pick. Yeah. They banned no other mid laners. They banned Braum and Renata from bot lane in second phase from Astralis. So he can pick whatever he wants into Yone. And I don't know enough about this match to say, there's a clear counter pick that he should have gone for. But like when you lock in Lysandra there with perfect information, I assume that you're going to do more than just kind of like slowly lose in that matchup. And that was a game where that Humanoid was pretty invisible that game. And like a lot of other things
they also played Lysandra Maokai.
Like double AP.
They're just, I don't know. Then the next game they play Lysandra Vi and everything looks different. Like they're getting kills. The game looks good.
And the thing is, if Lysandra Maokai was going to work, it would probably be against the champion. And admittedly, Yone can he can hop back and he can be unstoppable or whatever. But like he built Berserker's Greaves. He didn't even build, he has to, right? So he didn't even, and I know, obviously that's optimal optimization for him, but he didn't even build Merc Treads.
Yeah.
So if there was one mid laner you can kill with double AP, it's the guy who builds no MR and not Merc.
I just feel like, I don't know, I see some of these mid jungle picks and like Maokai can work if you're playing like Renekton or Jace mid or something like this. But also like in the LCK and the LPL, they would never really share damage share unless it's Sejuani in some cases. But like they'll always play like Ahri, Wukong, Lysandra Vi, mix and match, LeBlanc, Lee Sin, just mix match everything, no matter what, just same foundation. So when you're playing just like Lysandra Maokai, it just feels like optimization is just so limited for you when they're playing like Sejuani GP especially. Like what is Lysandra Maokai going to do to Sejuani GP in like a topside Herald fight? Just optimization is what I would say for these picks. And I feel like when Humanoid and Razor get these picks and they're on it, like they seem pretty good when they're playing like Talia, Wukong and they're diving bot. In that game, it looks good, but
that's why like I'm wondering, like that's why I mentioned Fnatic, because I feel like after you play that series and you review it, you see that was not optimal, right? And I mean, probably you will not do the same thing again. Probably, I don't know. That's why, like, I was inclined to say that it might be closer than maybe some people think, because generally after you will change things. But I don't know. Maybe they think it was good or whatever. But I would say it's gonna be pretty close best of threes. I think the games will be exciting to watch.
Yeah. And the other group, a team that you have some personal experience against, SK going up against G2, Winner going up against Koi. Feels like G2 is the safest bet to make it out of this group, despite some questionable decisions and questionable performances in that Koi series.
I mean, I would say G2 after a loss is scary. It's like you poke the bear and then they like. They get a bit more like crisp on what they pick. They like lock in a bit, maybe test a bit less. So that's why I would put them as favorites against SK and Koi.
And SK looked, I mean, don't get me wrong, you guys played well, but SK looked real lost Game 1 especially. Game 2 looked a little bit better, but it fell apart so much more quickly. I mean,
I would put G2 as first personally.
Yeah,
I feel like they're still like among the best teams in the league, top 2, 3. So in my mind, it's like
this one's pretty wrapped. Yeah, I mean, I hope SK can show more because again, that first game, especially on the Rumble Wukong game, there was just that was rough team play. Those dragon fights.
Yeah,
you guys got a gimme. Das walks up alone. Random rumble comes down. 3 seconds later, there's a Wukong ulting. It's like, guys, if you push...
There's no coordination.
Yeah,
that dragon fight. Sure. I remember that dragon fight. Yeah, Rumble went in, out. Wukong went in, out. Ari went in, out.
Nautilus goes in. No one can follow. Shit, now it's time to go.
Yeah, one at a time, like 4 people in a row. No, for sure. And like I think when G2, like, one of their like for sure strong things is like they know how to play together mid game. Like,
yeah,
they a lot of the things they do is together. So in my mind, it's like you need to like prepare something specific against them. Like you need to match them either early or later on or both. So for sure, I would say like G2 is favorites in this group together.
Yeah, I want to see how Koi perform in round 2. I want to see if they can keep it up because they were doing pretty well. I also want to see how it works out for BB because I think that like the matchups where he did well, he got a ton of jungle help. But in isolation, in terms of laning stats at least, I think in the first Pantheon game, you could argue that he had a bigger impact than Shigenda, but Shigenda was smashing him in lane stats, and admittedly BB roamed. Game 2, not a question. He just didn't exist. He was not relevant. And then game 3, he got a ton of help to put him ahead on that Gragas. So I really wanted that matchup is kind of what I'm looking at. Everything else feels
Yeah, I feel like I think Malrank said it as well. Like BB gives up a lot to roam. Like he will do as much as he can to just after like 7 or 8 minutes in the game, just roam mid, roam bot, anything he can do.
Yeah,
and his champ pool kind of alludes to that a bit when he does play things like Gragas or he does play things like Pantheon or anything that can just roam around. Other than Jax, because I think he has like 10 games of Jax throughout the regular season, or like combined with Winter, and then after that it's like 2 games on everything else, or like Kled and shit where he can just run bot and stuff like this. So yeah, I think he wants to start Chaos mid, and then that's how they just stack neutral objectives.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they can't get the Chaos rolling, then they just look lost.
We'll see. We'll find out. I have one final question for
Sure.
you, Crownie. I'm just going to assume that you're going to predict yourself in the BDS Vitality Series, because why would you not? That would be really weird at this point. Who are you playing in the finals?
G2.
G2. So you're making MSI before you play that best of 5.
Oh yeah, I guess so, because then the points like
if G2 make the finals, if you win this best of 5 and G2 make it, I think they're locked MSI.
I would hope so.
I believe
if Mad lose.
I believe if Mad lose and Koi lose, obviously Koi lose if G2 make it out. I believe we have exact same points as Vitality, but ours are more recent, so I guess it's like
I actually should have double checked.
I don't know.
Never mind. You just win.
But yeah, I mean, as long as we win the split,
if you play G2 in the finals, most likely you're going to MSI. If you don't, that would be
I mean, like
turbo sad.
To be honest, I don't mind like either playing Vitality or G2. I don't mind who I play. I think both series should be fun and like challenging for both teams. So, like. Now we have a winners best of 5 to play, and then we can like
one step at a time.
I don't want to talk about finals.
Yeah. One step at a time. Sorry. One step at a time.
I'm just saying,
let him cook. Let him cook.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have like we need to like perform. For sure, the hype is there's a lot of hype on us, but we have to make sure we stay as hungry as we are. And
I think it's just everyone doubts you. And they always doubt you, and you can always try and prove them wrong. So even though there is hype, I think people are still sitting there BDS are going to bomb out. Everyone's probably thinking like, you guys are bound to lose. That's the thing.
No, for sure. There's more pressure on Vitality, right? Like
100%.
No, for sure. But still, like, for sure, MSI is like a distant dream. Like it's in the back of my mind to play against all those teams, because I think the teams there are actually insane. Right? Yeah. Just like the like LCK, LPL teams, I think next level. But I don't want to it's maybe like just to add at the end, like it's so weird for my brain to go from playing academy to think about MSI in 1 year.
True, yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm a rookie that's like super hyped. You come in and you take over the league. It's like it's like a renaissance.
And the beauty
for
of
me, I guess.
possibly making it is there's no expectations of you doing it.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
you just keep doing your thing, and all the other teams around you are sitting there with sweat dripping down their forehead.
I'll keep logging on to Reddit with my 100 different accounts and going, oh, Crownie said one word. Time to make 30 assumptions based on that. Crownie hates so-and-so. I'm going to keep giving you that motivation, brothers.
Get some drama started. Little Drakos and his burners. Classic. That's how we get our narratives in the LEC. We just have 100 burner accounts. So just sit there flaming everyone.
You guys think you have original opinions? You don't. It's all us. We
it's
just
like the puppets.
It's
the
the Twitch chat.
in the background.
I'll send the same message from 1,000 different accounts.
Actually, let's just mess with this one person. Ryan, the entire subreddit's fake. It's just you and 20,000 bots, Ryan.
That's it. Who's Ryan?
I have no idea. I just picked a random name. Yeah, Ryan. You just pick a random name, and then that guy listening to this podcast is like, what?
Good old Henry.
Give that one person an existential crisis.
Yeah, and now they're just having insecurities about, wait, what?
All I'm saying is that would be funny.
Yeah,
if there's like an entire subreddit that's boss except for one guy, and the one guy is convinced that he's engaged in some like really intense dialogue.
And
Is it like what was the name of the show that was like
Black Mirror?
No, yeah, before like there was like the show where the guy they made like a fake world for a guy to
the Truman Show?
Yeah, the Truman Show.
The Truman Show.
Yeah.
Classic. Was Jim Carrey?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Good show. Good movie.
And spoiler, that's what's actually happening, Crownie! Wow, everybody come out! It's been great!
Everything's orchestrated to
All of like the LEC split was just fake, like everyone was just doing it on purpose.
No, stop!
It's like a simulation, you know?
Yeah.
Your face just
Anyway, it's not just a simulation. It's really happening. And it's really happening this Monday. Our first best of 5 will be BDS versus Vitality.
Yep.
Of course, we got 2 days of best of 3s ahead of that to find out who the last 2 teams in our top 4 will be. You can check that out on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. This has been EUphoria episode 12. Thank you again so much, Crownie, for joining us.
Thank you. It was
yes,
pleasure.
of course, dude. Good luck in scrims. Good luck on stage. We'll see you this weekend, and we'll see all of you this weekend and next week for a new episode of EUphoria. Thanks for watching.